Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Attention! You're listening to the Todd Huff Radio Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk radio. Be advised that the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. Here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right, my friends. Hour number 2 of today's program. It's good to be here with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to be part of the conversation, hey, I welcome you. Send your thoughts and questions, your feedback. Todd at ToddHuffShow.com. That's the email. Or if you prefer, you can text us 317-210-2830. Just make it count, my friends. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Be sure to include the appropriate amounts of adoration and praise as well, which is probably 10 to 15% more than you would first think necessary. I'm kidding. Just a little bit. It would be nice for you to be nice to me. But hey, whatever you got to do, just know that if it's unnecessarily rude, I don't get through it. I don't waste my time, folks. So make it count. Keep it cordial. And I welcome you to reach out to us. I want to continue just a bit here. We've been talking about Biden's cancer diagnosis, which we talked about last hour. I talked about a urologist that was on, interviewed by News Nation Now, saying that the administration of the family, the doctors knew about this diagnosis a long time ago. I don't know what that means, but it seems to be since he was president, probably leading up to the campaign. I don't know that. Nobody knows that, but given the type of cancer and how quickly it seems to grow and spread for it to be at this particular level, another urologist says they probably knew about that for a long time, which raises questions about what they were keeping from the American people. That's where I left off. I also played a clip of Biden speaking in, was he in Delaware? I think he was in Delaware, where he said it's the reason why these oil slicks on car windows back when he was a kid, were the reason why he and other folks he grew up with, other people living in the area, got cancer, which raised a bunch of questions. And of course, the administration tried to blow it off and say it was something else. But was it something like, I don't know. I'm not saying it was, or I'm simply saying that there is ample evidence, a mountain of evidence to say that the health of the president was kept hidden from you. They were telling you, they were telling all of us, this guy was the epitome of good health. This guy was mentally on top of things. This guy was just a physical specimen. Meanwhile, we were watching him shuffle around, lose his train of thought, and more than his train of thought. I understand losing your train of thought. I've done that on this program before. I've lost my train of thought a time or two. That's not even the problem. The problem is forgetting he's on planet Earth. That was the problem. The problem was forgetting some incredibly fundamental things that are important for a president to be able to communicate. That was the problem. And there was other physical evidence. The guy falling down everywhere that he went, shuffling, his frailty. We've heard people now that he's out of office, now that he's not running for re-election, now that they're trying to save face and make a buck off of you, the American taxpayer, now that they're ready and trying to do all of that stuff, they're confident in coming out and telling you all the stuff that was wrong with Biden and his health and how that was hidden from them as well. That's right. They had no idea. Jake Tapper, to me, is maybe the most egregious example of a person that I believe is outright lying about this, because he had people on his program dating back to 2020. I played the montage on here before. Jake Tapper basically told the folks, hey, you can't question the president's health because you're not a doctor. Just like Ketanji Brown Jackson could not tell you what a woman is because she's not a biologist. This is how these people, it's not how they think, it's how they obfuscate. It's how they hide things from you. It's how they play this game to say, well, I'm not an expert and I can't tell. Well, I don't need an expert. I got little kids that can tell me who the man is and who the woman is in the room. What are you talking about, knuckleheads? But they play this game with us, and they lied to us, they gaslit us, they deceived us. And listen, I ended last hour by talking a little bit about, empathy. We certainly should exercise empathy. And if people are posting negative things or cheering this diagnosis, that's reprehensible, that's wicked. There's no there is nothing redeeming or good about that. Now, at the same time, since this was the commander-in-chief, the president of the United States, since these things happened, since we're just coming through an election that was impacted by people hiding this information from voters, we had better figure out how to keep these things from being hidden from the American people in the future. This is important. And so you can be empathetic to Biden's circumstances in particular, while at the same time wanting to understand how we prevent this problem, how we prevent the gaslighting, the lying, the deception from influencing our elections. And I want to talk a bit about that. I want to also get into this Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese situation that, again, escalated a bit over the weekend because Caitlin Clark fouled her to prevent her from making a layup. Anyway, we'll talk about that in due course as well. Friends, before I do that, though, let me talk with you really quickly about sleep. If you're tossing and turning at night, it may be time to make a change. MyPillow very well might be the solution. Their patented pillows are a game changer for sleep. I love two things. I've shared this with you. Two things about these pillows. Number one, I like the adjustable fill. I have told you, I got a big head, I have broad shoulders, and I often sleep on my side. And that's a recipe for a neck to really be in a funny position. But when I use MyPillow and I set that thing up just right, it's a perfect shape and a perfect size to support my neck in a very comfortable position as I sleep, number one. Number two, the other thing I like about MyPillow is that this particular model that I have has the cooling technology. I hate sleeping hot. In fact, I have a hard time sleeping if it's hot. My brother has this as well. In fact, when we would travel, both of us turn the air conditioning to the lowest temperature we possibly can when we're in the hotel and so forth. This often draws the ire of our respective wives who don't like it quite as cold as we do. But I can't deal with sleeping hot. The cooling technology, it works I don't know how it works, but I know that it keeps the pillow from getting so hot and stuffy that it just makes it uncomfortable. Those are the two reasons I like using MyPillow. You can get yours by going to mypillow.com. Use promo code Todd, and you're going to get big savings on the items on their shop there. MyPillow.com, promo code Todd. Comfort, my friends, with MyPillow is comfort you can believe in. All right, so let's get back. Let's get back to what I was talking about here regarding them hiding things from us and how that problem needs to be addressed while being empathetic to the president of the United States. Listen, my family, we all have experiences with people who we know who have had cancer. And it is a terrible disease. My wife lost her grandfather to lung cancer 15, almost 16 years ago. I lost my grandfather to cancer as well about 7 or 8 years ago. I recently lost my aunt to an aggressive brain cancer just a few months ago. So we all understand and have experienced cancer. We've all had people that are close to us who have suffered from cancer. Some folks have stories of hope and healing. Some people's stories do not end that way. We've all been around it. We all know people, whether we're related to them or not. My other grandfather, I had a grandfather, my dad's dad, who passed away just a couple of months before I never even met him. He passed away from cancer in 1977, almost 50 years ago. And so we all know, and listen, we all know we don't want people out there disrespecting or not showing empathy to the people that have suffered. That's not what we're doing here. I bet I can also say that in all of those circumstances that I have personally been involved with, there are sometimes, if there are other factors pertaining to the disease, something maybe through the process we learned that a treatment wasn't very good, or maybe we learned that another path could have been taken. It doesn't mean that by asking the question after the fact, hey, was this the best course to take? Not because we can change anything what happened to a particular individual who may have passed from cancer, but we can certainly say, hey, this is what the next, if we know someone else who has it, we can share our experiences. Maybe we can share it with the doctors and staff and get clarity. Maybe they can understand how to communicate better. There can be positive things that come from some of these questions that are difficult in spite of our loss and suffering. I'm not saying that this isn't an either-or proposition. It's silly to me. Of course, why do they do this? They don't do this because it's legitimately how they look at it. They're just trying to silence it. They don't want the mask to fully be taken off. They don't want us to see what's really going on behind the curtain. They just don't want us to do that. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, with wondering if these jokers and clowns in the media and in the Democrat Party were hiding things from us. I would say if I was a betting man, and I'm not, but if I was a betting man, I think the safe money is that they did hide this from us. This is who they are. This is what they do. Biden's problems from a health perspective could be traced back well before the 2020 election. I remember talking about his mental fitness to be in office back in those days. And again, if some hayseed hick from flyover country here with a microphone outside of Indianapolis can know this, then why can't the professional doctors, the team of doctors that surround this guy, that study, that test him, that monitor him, that keep a close eye on him, why would they not have known this? Of course, my friends, the likelihood that they knew it is infinitely greater than that they didn't. And we've got to get these questions answered. And by asking them, you're not heaping insult upon the family. What you're doing is trying to prevent this scenario from happening again, because as I said before, this is a question. You talk about people claiming that they want to save our democracy. If you are not letting information out to the voters, if you're keeping things hidden from the people who are going to be making decisions regarding the people who are elected to run their country, to make laws, to make decisions, if you're hiding from them the capacity, the ability, the medical conditions known about that individual, if you're hiding those things from the American people, you are putting your finger on the scale of our quote-unquote democracy, of our system of government, and you're trying to tip it and tilt it into your favor. That's what's going on here. That cannot be allowed to happen. This is why the media has no credibility. This is why people like me, when I hear the media talk, I talk about those things on here. I'm not going to say that they never tell the truth, because certainly they are reporting something that has, in most cases, there's something there that is true. But the way that they spin it, the way that they try to manipulate it, the way that they try to use it for their political purposes. And by the way, these folks are all liberals. They're all on the political left. All these journalists, just like at NPR. Remember NPR? 87 people on their editorial board. All 87 of them were Democrats. The likelihood that happens by happen chance is quite literally zero. It's an impossibility for the next 87 people to walk in by chance and just happen to be Democrat on the editorial board. That is deliberate. That is by design. That's who they are. That's the direction that they're pushing. They are the PR firm for the Democrat Party. The media is. And we've got to stop this stuff. But asking questions is not disrespectful to the family or anything like that. That's disrespectful to the people who have fought to create this system of government. If you want to talk about disrespecting people, it's the people that went before us, that helped build this country, that helped build this system of government, that fought for our freedoms here. It's disrespectful to let those freedoms, if you're going to disrespect anybody, that's who it's disrespecting. The people who have fought to create this system, who've given themselves to defend this system. And now we just shrug our shoulders because the media is being the media again. It's important that we learn our lessons and that we allow the lessons to be fully learned and implemented so that we do not repeat, we do not repeat the ridiculous nature of the things that are happening before our very eyes. In addition to this, we've got the Hur report. Remember this, Biden's Hur report. That audio, at least a portion of it, has been released out there. Biden is, here, what's the, I'm trying to find the transcript here because I don't want to play the audio. The audio it's not loud enough for me to play. It's not loud enough. I've got it here in front of me. I just don't want to do that because it's hard to hear, and I'm just going to have to tell you what it says. But basically, in this audio from the Hur report, if you remember, this is what the Democrats tried to keep hidden from us. Hur had gone to Biden to ask some questions, and it was recorded. This was kept from the American voter up to the election. Again, you see a recurring theme here, if you pay attention, which I know most of you do. But the recurring theme is here, they hid this information from me. They didn't want us to hear Biden asking when he was vice president of the United States. This is some very problematic stuff. So that's out there as well. I was looking for the transcript. I know I got it somewhere, but it's not in this particular article. But the left was in full defense mode of Biden back when there were, during the Hur report's release, there were questions about Biden and about this interview. Remember the conclusion was that Biden shouldn't be prosecuted because jurors would have been too sympathetic to him because he was an old man, basically not in control of his faculties, and they weren't going to convict him. Remember that? That was the conclusion of the Hur report. Do you remember that? This all comes into full view now, and we've got the benefit of time. The emotions are down, right? The election is over. We can look at this a little bit more objectively. As Robert Hur released his report, the media, the Democrats were out there saying this was a smear campaign of Biden and so forth. But in reality, when you listen to the audio, you realize this guy had some very good reasons for concluding what he concluded. So you put all of this stuff together. And it is abundantly clear. It is more than abundantly clear. It is as obvious, not quite as the noonday sun, but it is as obvious as maybe the sunrise. As it's breaking the horizon. There's plenty of reasons to believe that this information was deliberately hidden from you, that everybody knew what was happening, and that they wanted to pretend that he was perfectly fine, that he was fit, and that you would be totally okay, justified in voting for him because, hey, after all, the other guy's trying to destroy our democracy. Meanwhile, they're trying to actively destroy our democracy by keeping information from voters so voters make decisions based upon incomplete or completely inaccurate information. So that's in the stack of stuff if you want to look at that. I want to shift gears here a little bit and get into this Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese situation and what this has turned into beyond just that. And I'll do that here in a moment. But friends, let me remind you, you know this, every dollar that we spend is a vote for the kind of America that we want to live in. That's why we have launched Freedom Marketplace here at the Todd Huff Show. It's a free directory that you can go to, a business directory. And these are businesses that align with your conservative principles and values. These businesses have made a promise. They're not going to support leftist candidates. They're not going to support leftist causes. And if they do, they're off the directory. That's their promise to you, to us. And if you're tired of funding the woke agenda by giving money to businesses that are pushing in the opposite direction, that are promoting things that you are fighting vehemently against each and every day, check out freedommarketplace.net. It is free for you to use. It is easy, liberty, and business for all, my friends. All right, let's get to this Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. Listen, I know some of you aren't a big fan of talking about sports on here. I've talked about the Pacers recently. I love this. By the way, Pacers will be playing the New York Knickerbockers here. Game 1 tips off on Wednesday. I am looking forward to this perhaps more than I should be, and for several reasons. One of the reasons being, I love it. I love watching this team, and it brings back memories. The Indiana Pacers, if you go back and look, they made it to the finals once in the NBA. They were successful as an ABA franchise. I think they won maybe a couple of titles there. But in the NBA, they've not won a title. They've been to the NBA finals once back in the heyday of the franchise. This particular era of the franchise has the capacity, or the capability, I should say, to rival what I watched as a kid. Not as a young kid. In the 80s, they were terrible. But they drafted some guy named Reggie Miller in 1987, I believe. And by the mid-90s, the Pacers were a force to be reckoned with. And more times than not, they crossed paths with the New York Knickerbockers, the New York Knicks. Now, they also had their fair share of encounters with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. But it seemed, if you look at who we faced in the Eastern Conference Finals, in many cases, we were dealing with the New York Knicks. Now, New York, I got to tell you, I had never been, I've been to New York City once, and I'd never been, prior to my going, I took a train, actually took it to Madison Square Garden. And having had that experience and comparing it to what we have here in this city, I mean, you could drive by Madison Square Garden in New York City and honestly not even notice it's there because of the size and scope of all the other humongous buildings that were everywhere. You go downtown to Indianapolis, and it's easy to find the field house. It's not obviously the tallest building, but it's easy to find it in the city landscape and so forth, the skyline. And so they've framed this as the Knicks versus the Hicks. That's how they did it back in the 90s. That's how they're talking about it a little bit today. And I like that. I do. I want to talk about that in a minute, and I'm going to talk about Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, and some of the political ramifications of that. Timeout's in order, though, my friend. Sit tight. Back in just a minute.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
So it was the Hicks versus the Knicks in the 1990s. It's the Hicks versus the Knicks today in 2025. And so it's interesting. I love this. I love this kind of clash of two different worlds. In fact, one of the reasons early on I was asked by someone in the industry who really liked my program, an insider. We had a phone conversation. He asked me. He said, "Would you ever consider moving to New York City?" And I promise you, I told him this. I said no, but I had a caveat. I won't tell you his name. Some of you might know the name, but I said no, but I would like to at least know what the opportunity is. I'm saying no because That's not me. I don't want to move to New York City. I actually love the city. I didn't think that I would. It's an amazing place to be if you've not been. Many of you have been, of course, a lot. Some of you may live there. But I just, it's a different world. It's a different world than what I grew up here in the middle of cornfields and flyover country. And I deliberately thought, you know what? I think a lot of people that get into this business, they go to these media hubs. They'll go to Washington, D.C. They'll go to New York City. Some folks are in San Francisco or whatever. They really big places, really big cities and this metropolitan situation. And I think, there are people out here who I think have a heck of a perspective on politics in the world, and I would rather be a voice of that. I think that there is so much common sense and reason and logic growing up in these small, not that you can't get it in other places. I feel like it's harder sometimes. I feel like when you're in a small community and you're in a rural community, like you got to figure stuff out. And people are very helpful there, but they're also, they expect you, hey, you got to figure this out on your own, kid, right? And I think, the more people that are around, in these high density population areas, it just changes the dynamic and the thinking. And I like being from this part of the country, a hick, as some people would say. And so, as I watched the Pacers versus the Knicks, the Hicks versus the Knicks, as they're going to brand this, or they've tried to brand it, or whatever, taking me back to the 1990s when I was watching these series as a kid. That's another reason I enjoy this. I'm rooting for the Hicks. I'm rooting for the Hicks because of the home team, but I'm also rooting for them because that is, that's middle America. I mean, what it stands for. Indiana's a basketball state. A lot of people outside of the state don't realize that. Anyway, so that's going on. That's going on. In addition to that, we had the tip-off of the WNBA this weekend. And who played? Well, I'll tell you who played. We had Caitlin Clark playing against Angel Reese. Caitlin, of course, is for the Indiana Fever. Angel Reese plays for the Chicago Sky. And these two athletes, it's been tense between them for several reasons. And I got to be honest. I mean, I'm biased in the sense that I'm a fan of the home team, right? Caitlin Clark plays on our team. But I also think objectively, this is media-fueled, and I think it's also fueled by Angel. Angel Reese she's been very nasty to Caitlin Clark. In fact, last year, one of her teammates cheap-shotted Caitlin Clark, and Angel was on the bench, and she jumps up and starts hooting and hollering and clapping like a lunatic over there. And yesterday, or I should say Saturday at the game, Angel Reese got the ball, actually she shoved the Indiana Fever player off the court to get the rebound. This is basketball, it's fine. And Caitlin Clark looked over and saw she was about to have an uncontested layup, and so she came and she fouled her hard. It wasn't cheap, it was basketball. When I played, I got to tell you, this was what you expected. I remember as a player, if I had the ball under the basket and there was nobody around me, you were fully aware that I could get clobbered somewhere, someone flying in here, and they could be cheap shots if someone two-hand shoved you in the back. That happens sometimes. In fact, I remember one time I sprained my ankle because I had a breakaway layup in a junior high game, and one of the players, as I went airborne, two-hand shoved me, and I went flying off the court, landed awkwardly, sprained my ankle. That's cheap. But to foul someone hard and to say, go earn your points at the free throw line, especially when a player like Angel Reese, who's not a good shooter. In fact, if you look at where she gets all of her points, she's about a foot from the basket. And even then, it's painful to watch how many attempts it takes to get the ball in the basket. But that's beside the point. So the foul happens. Angel takes exception to it. She jumps up, goes after Caitlin. What the blank you doing? Or that's blanking stupid or something. I don't. There's some expletives flying around out there. Her teammates, of course, jump in. Caitlin's do. Caitlin just walks away. And so there's this, it's tense from the beginning because this tension goes back to when they played in college. And you can look this up. You can look at Angel Reese when she realizes they're going to beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. Angel Reese played for the LSU Tigers. Caitlin Clark played for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Angel Reese, I'm pretty sure she clapped in her face, kind of taunting her in the championship, because of the championship or the Final Four. Regardless, that's what led up to this. And so you got that happening. There's tension. There's a lot of, Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark. Then you've got the racial component of this. Oh, boy. You've got the racial component of this. And now, which is why I was talking about the Hicks versus the Knicks, now you've got a city that's being branded, or that they're trying to brand, as this racist city. And the reason that we like Caitlin so much is because she's white. And the reason we don't like Angel Reese, they claim, is because she's black. And now I've got headlines out there of people saying, I pulled up the wrong one here. Oz sent me this. Of people saying, this is, what's the head? This is The Guardian. The Caitlin Clark-Angel Reese rivalry is becoming a mirror for American bigotry. Of course it is. The WNBA stars are helping drive record-setting interest in the league, but the conversation distracts from other players and brings in unwelcome ugliness. Now, I'll get to that, but I also want to get kind of simultaneously to something that happened at the game on Sunday. Headline here at Outkick.com, WNBA investigating alleged racial insults directed at Angel Reese by Indiana Fever fans. Now, for the record, just in case I have to say this for any knuckleheads out there, I do not like the Chicago Sky. I'm not a fan, I've told you, of Angel Reese. But if this has happened, if it's happening, if people are hurling racial comments at Angel Reese, it is despicable and should not happen. Also, may I also say this, if people are hurling racial insults or the sort of thing at Caitlin Clark, it's also reprehensible and inexcusable. But here's the story. The WNBA says it is investigating Indiana Fever fans for allegedly hurling racial slurs during Saturday's game against Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. Here's the statement put out by the WNBA. The WNBA strongly condemns racism, hate, and discrimination in all forms. They have no place in our league or in our society. We are aware of the allegations and are looking into the matter. So, it's unclear what the allegations are other than they're racist. We don't know who said it. We don't know what was said. We don't know what evidence exists. But that's the claim. Now, may I point out that the Indiana Fever fans, I've been to some of these games. By the way, we went the first year, my wife and I, our girls, I think my parents went, our son. And I'm telling you, the first year, it was before Caitlin. So that would have been 2023. I kid you not, in that stadium, I'm going to guess, this is Gainbridge Fieldhouse, holds 17 or 18,000 people, some such number. And there were probably maybe 2,000 people. That sound right, Oz? I'm guessing. I mean, you can see, go back and look at pictures. It is empty by comparative terms. 1 year later, we went to opening night. Caitlin, well, it wasn't opening night. It was her first game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, though. The place was sold out. And I'm telling you, I've been there for Pacers games outside of when we went to the playoff game against game one against the Bucks. Outside of that, I don't think I've ever been to a louder Pacers or a louder event in that arena. It was rocking. It was raucous. And Caitlin Clark did that. But there are many players. I'm just pointing this out. There are many black players on the team as well. The fans love those players also. Aaliyah Boston our girls have got to meet them and get autographs and stuff. She is a wonderful to the girls. There are Erica, is it Wheeler? We've got a lot of good players, a lot of fan favorites. Yes, Caitlin Clark is adored by the fans, but there's a lot of players out there that they love who also happen to be black. But yet, that's what they want to make this about racism, the WNBA. But again, if it's happening to Angel Reese, it needs to stop. But I don't know. I don't even know what the allegations are here. So, timeouts in order along this segment. Back in a minute, my friends.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Welcome back. I meant Kelsey Mitchell. I don't know what I was thinking. Erica Wheeler's she's not on the team. The point is there's lots of players on the team, the Indiana Fever, that the fans like. Now, I don't know what has alleged to have happened here, but I saw this on TikTok. There's a guy that I see on there regularly. He is affiliated with, I forget, with one of these sports, it may be like Bleacher Report, I can't remember, maybe Barstool Sports. His name's Jack Mack. And anyway, he gives an explanation of what he thinks has happened here. There was a girl who had tweeted something. Her tweets are set to private, but I didn't know this, by the way. If your tweets are set to private, people can still find your tweets are still, or your posts on X are still cataloged with Google. So even though they can't go to your X account and see your post if you keep them private, there are other ways they can search, and if it comes up, they can find them that way. Well, that's what has been done here. And there was a person who said she was at the game and said that it was a racial environment. I don't know what that means. I don't know what specifics there are, but anyway, I got this on our stack of stuff at ToddHuffShow.com if you want to listen to his explanation of it, my friends. I want to get to this article real quick in the time we have remaining. Before I do that, my friends, you know that we need you healthy. We've got a battle we're fighting here. This country needs people who are patriotic, who love this nation, the principles upon which it was founded. And we need people in the fight. And this is not going away. This is our job. I mean, we have to defend our liberty, our constitutional republic. We have to pass it on to the next generation. This never goes away. May we never again think that we can put this on autopilot. We have to remain vigilant. In order to remain vigilant, we have to remain healthy. In order to remain healthy, there's lots of things to think about, diet, exercise, all of that, but you also need to think about your heart's health. And when you do that, I think of Soul Tea, because Soul Tea has been proven by science to lower cholesterol. And it may be able to lower yours as well, keep your heart healthy, keep your cholesterol in check. It's a non-invasive, all-natural, very affordable, simple way to start taking care of your heart's health. I take the product. I think you should consider taking it as well. Soltea.com, SOLTEA, Soltea.com. Promo code Todd, by the way, gets you 50% off your first 3-month supply and free shipping. The only thing you have to lose are those high cholesterol numbers. Check it out. Soltea.com, SOLTEA, promo code Todd, gets you that discount. All right, let me go back to this article here that Oz had sent me earlier today that I want to get to. This is in The Guardian. Again, the headline, the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese rivalry is becoming a mirror for American bigotry. Stephanie Kaloi, Kaloi, written this morning. At first, it seemed the Indiana Fever's home win over the Chicago Sky on Saturday would be just another spicy chapter in the rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Both players were typically excellent. Clark spurred the Fever to a victory with a triple-double. By the way, Caitlin Clark, in 41 games in her career, is already the third. She's third on the list of all-time, the number of triple-doubles in the WNBA. So she had one on Saturday. Angel Reese had 17 rebounds to go with her 12 points. Most of those rebounds, of course, were on her own misses. That's my commentary, not hers. But it was a moment in the third quarter that WNBA fans will be talking about for weeks to come. Some of them may even do so without resorting to cheap bigotry. With 4:38 remaining, Clark reached for the ball over Reese's head, made what appeared to be a deliberate contact with her arm, sent her opponent spiraling to the floor. There was a brief confrontation. What? No, that's not what happened. Angel Reese got up and started yelling at her. Caitlin Clark turned and walked away. That's false reporting, Stephanie. I guess you could say there was a confrontation between Angel Reese and the two Fever players that stepped in to prevent Angel Reese from going after Caitlin Clark. Clark was hit with a flagrant foul, she writes, and Reese received a technical after the game. Clark said she didn't have cynical intent leading up to the foul, and Reese agreed, calling it a basketball play. Good, because it was. Depending on who you ask, the moment was either enthralling or disappointing. Fans may recall conversations about the physicality of the WNBA last season as Clark was knocked around the court by veterans. Yeah, people that were jealous and hated her. It showed that women's basketball is every bit as tough as the man's game. Oh, my goodness. Okay, no, that's not true. Okay, and sometimes a foul is just a foul. I'm glad it's getting more physical. It's a much more watchable product than it once was. But stop with the comparisons. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, a moment like this isn't always bad for anyone involved, including players. Many say that these types of exchange drive up engagement. Well, no kidding. People love this stuff, whether online or by attracting fans to WNBA arenas, which have enjoyed record attendance since Reese and Clark entered the league. But of course, there are different types of engagement. The increase in attention, scrutiny, and discourse can quickly take a downward turn, especially when women are involved. She wrote, I didn't say that. That's what she wrote. As much as there was plenty of genuine discussion and analysis of Saturday's game, a lot of online rhetoric quickly turned racist and sexist. So there you go. I'm just out of time, but you can read the article on our website. It's apparently a microcosm of society. Who knows? I gotta go, though. Have a great day. SDG.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.